Hey Idle Hero fans, thanks for tuning in. Since most of you know, the private server no longer gets content from the official server, so therefore the event stream or the event schedule has been changed. I figured I would try to update my system as well. If I'm going to start out trying to put out new content and different content, I think this is a perfect opportunity to do just that. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to try on a weekly basis to break down the current event, and also I'm going to take a look at the top arena teams that are currently in play. Now, whether or not that be the top 10, the top 20, or maybe some just outliers that seem different, I'm going to go week by week and see how this plays out. And if you guys like it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and let's just go from there. So, the first event we're going to be looking at is a tavern event. This is pretty standard fare, and this is a big example of why I think I needed to add something to this video, is that for most of the events we're going to be looking at for the private server, there isn't actually a lot of content to go over. So, for example, you have a typical tavern event, it's definitely worth doing, but this is something we've been over 100 times now. There's no reason not to do that. As for Heroic Miracle, it's the same thing again. You're getting gear, you're getting Prophet Orbs, and you're getting a Valentino. There's no reason not to do this. Most people have saved up the material specifically to do this. So, again, go ahead and do that. The only one that offers a little bit of different of a opinion is going to be the Shelter mission, where you can get Cruz, Corpse Demon, or Das Moog. And I think Cruz and Das Moog specifically are pretty good. Das Moog has recently, unfortunately, fallen off a little bit for a lot of people, but I think he holds a lot of value for PvE especially. And if you're looking for him to counter certain teams, he can definitely do that. There are some acceptable stall teams with Corpse Demon as well. So even if you're looking to make a stall team with a lot of tanky warriors and something like a Belrain, you can still do that, and this is an opportunity to get one. And Cruz actually also fits that bill, and that's one thing that kind of, I think, got overlooked with the current meta, is that Cruz not only offers the stun, but he offers warriors the damage they need to potentially actually kill the enemies. So if you have something like an As model, and you need him to have a big one-shot potential on some of their like higher damage but weaker enemies, like the Faith Blades and stuff like that, you can have Cruz use his weakened skill, and then your warriors can one-shot them, as well as the fact that he offers heal, so he's still helping that sustain meta as well. So he fits in very well here, and I think this is a good pickup for most people. Most people are probably going to get the Cruz and the Das Moog. The Corpse Demon is a little bit more situational, but again, you have to judge that stuff for yourself, and depending on what you're looking for your team. So let's go right onto the arena. And the arena's been pretty cool lately. I gotta say, the buffs and nerfs that Meh has added in has changed things up pretty good. And you can notice that based on the first team, which has a Gurk and a Sleepless. Now, both of these, if you ask like a month ago, neither of these heroes probably would have been here. But now we're at this today, and not only do we have the number 1 player has them, but I'm pretty sure the number 3 player has them as well. Yeah, exactly. He has Sleepless and Gurk on the same team. So these heroes have gotten really good buffs, and they are slowly becoming meta-relevant now. Or meta-dominant, I guess, not meta-relevant. But these have kind of gone under the radar for a little while. If you've been asking me in Discord, or if you've been leaving comments on the videos, or just finding me in the world chat, asking me about dark heroes, I've been talking about how Sleepless is an overpowered unit that people have underutilized. And now that's finally coming to a head where people have figured it out. People realize that with the sustain meta the way it is, he is almost impossible to kill. He does good damage, so there's no reason to have him sitting on the sidelines anymore. If you do have Sleepless, get him in your team. Second place here is Scorpion. Now this team is very similar in style to the way that 4GG is running his team, who's also in the top 10, which is just your generic kind of like Cruz and Scary team, or Scree. Just never going to figure that name out. And this one also has King Bartons, though, which is a little bit different than 4GG's. 4GG only runs Scary and 1 Cruz, but there's different variations of this that obviously work, and these are 2 of them. These teams are going to be meta-relevant for a while. As more people start to pick up on the counter heroes, though, stuff like Lutz can really shut this team down, which is why I think that the more varied edition of this team is the one that's picked up a little bit more traction, and you see it a little bit higher, is because it's harder to shut this team down with just a single Lutz. Whereas if you have a team full of Scaries, it's going to be a lot easier to just pick one 13-star and counter it, whereas this team has Bartons, which even if you can't win on the damage front with just Bartons, you can stall out very well. And of course, this guy is using the healing pet, so that is going to facilitate that win condition even more so. And if you attack this guy, you're going to have a very hard time beating him. If we look at the fourth team here, this is a standard fare, so this is pretty good to see that with the addition of Gurk, most of the standard GVE teams still do very well. You can still run basically the same thing you've been running for the past 4 or 5 months now, probably even longer, and do very well with that. Of course, you're going to want to have the staples, like you're going to want to have Mim on your team, but if you have the generic top tier PvE GVE team, you could do very well by slightly filling in the blanks with stuff like Gurk. Team 5 is a very unique team. This one, I think, is probably my favorite team up here, simply because it has, like, Brea on it, which is so unusual. You would never expect to see Brea on a top 10 team, much less on a Rainbow top 10 team. Or, not Rainbow, sorry, but an Auralist team. And that's what makes this one so strange, is that it's a weird setup. I don't know exactly what's making this team super strong, but obviously it is very powerful because it's in the top 5, so whatever this guy is doing, he's doing it very well. Again, running the healing pet, so there's probably a lot of stall on this. Having Valkyrie, Asmodel, and Brea on the same team, along with Cruz and Gurk, allows for a lot of tankiness that you might not be able to puncture if you don't have the correct damaging tools to get through it. And then having Heartwatcher kind of facilitates him to not get stuck against those teams as much as other people would, because Heartwatcher, even through her nerfs, is still very good at taking down these tank teams that have Bartons and stuff like that on them that are very difficult to kill. So this is a great team overall, and it's made up of heroes that are not that rare for the most part. Like, this is not that hard of a team to construct, but would just take a lot of dedication to unorthodox heroes, and I'm glad that this guy put it together and it's working out well. The number 6 is, again, another weird variant where you see an Auralist team that has, like, Demon Hunter, which is, right now, she has, like, a terrible look. People think that she's garbage, but clearly this guy's figured out a way to make her work, and he has her in a top 10 team. Now, whether or not she's even useful here, that's up for debate. You might be able to swap that out with something like Heartwatcher and have just as much effect, or any other top tier hero like a Gurk might fit that just as well. But having these tools where you have 2 warriors or 2 tanky warriors in Barton and Asmodel, and then Valkyrie kind of as the she does a lot of damage and she can be tanky, makes for a good core. And then you have Mim to do good damage, and Demon Hunter, despite her speed nerf, still does good damage, but she just isn't the CC queen that she was for a while. TSB Trog here has another kind of standard team. This has been a very popular team for a while. It's good to see that it's still in the top 10, because that means there's so much diversity. Like, if we look at all the teams that we've seen, there's been very different styles, and they're all doing very well. So you're looking at it almost the cookie cutter Rainbow team here, where you see the CC unit stacked with, you have Kameth, you have Valentino, and Cruz. Those are your, like, your CC kings, I guess. And then you have Faithblade, who, while he doesn't have the one-shot potential that he used to, he still has a great stun in his kit. So that is often overlooked, and people never thought about that for the longest time. But now that we're looking at teams like this is a ton of crowd control in that backline. And then you have a good core between Dasmog and Valkyrie. Valkyrie for defense, and then Dasmog for kind of like this damage over time that's going to chip away at your team. I'm not sure if Dasmog is the perfect hero for this. If this guy had Sleepless, this would be so much more ridiculous. But in its current form, it's still awesome, very strong, top 10 material. The top 8 is, it has Field, which is an interesting pick, because he's just a shutdown character. So that hero is there to specifically shut out certain heroes. If you have any of the, I think it's, was it Rangers for that guy? If you have any, or Assassins, sorry. If you have any Assassins like Armivore or Faithblade, they're getting completely walled by Field. And that is a big problem, because a lot of people run those heroes. Those are 2 of the most popular Assassins right now, and they're getting obliterated by Field as a hero. And that's one of the weird things that when you look back on it, Mez's philosophy when it comes to buffs and nerfs, he is generally shied away from making easy heroes, or easy to get heroes, too strong. But in the case of, like, these low tier stun champions like Field and Lutz, he's made them very powerful, and they can do a ton of work against a lot of powerful GVE heroes. So this is something that this guy has added into his lineup and has done extremely well with it. This is another variation of the Rainbow crowd control team, and obviously this is very successful, which speaks volumes to the diversity that we currently have. Number 9 is very weird. I'm surprised that this team is still strong. It's a cheese team with Flamestrike and Aiden. Like, of all the things to see come back in the meta, this I did not expect. This is so strange, because this is like, when the private server was first launched, this kind of a meta was everywhere, where people were just running Flamestrikes and Aidens and trying to one-shot your entire team with this last burst of damage that they could put out. But in conjunction with in conjunction with Mim and Cruz, you end up with a much bigger burst, because they've been chipped down by Mim over the course of the fight, and then Cruz has his weakened status effect that he buffs on people, and these teams are still strong somehow. I've never fought this guy. I've seen him in the arena a few times. I've always avoided fighting him because I don't know how this is going to play out. I should, next time I get the opportunity to raise my other account up high enough to fight this guy, I'm going to take a swing at him just to see what it looks like. Maybe I'll record it and put it on the channel if you guys are interested in seeing how this team plays out. But either way, it's a very weird team. Cool to see it's still working, but cheese teams are still relevant. And of course, we already talked about 4GG. He has the pretty much scary dominant team, and it is just a Abyss team with 5 scaries and a Cruz. Like, there's not much to say here. You're going to have a hard time getting through those scaries with their damage reduction and their amazing burst potential. So, it is what it is. This has been a staple for a while. People have seen this for a while. There's not much to talk about here. Overall, though, I don't know what you guys think, but I think that this top 10 is probably the most diverse top 10 we've ever seen. So that speaks a lot of volumes, and I'm normally pretty critical of Meh. Obviously, anyone who follows my channel or talks to me personally knows that I give him a lot of criticism, but this has been pretty good. For the most part, most of these buffs have made sense and have done really well to kind of keep the top of the ladder from stagnating. So kudos to him for that, and let me know what you guys think of the current meta and how it's diverged from what we had before. And as always, guys, if you do like this content, specifically this video, this is probably a much longer video than I have put out in a long time, let me know in the comments below, give it a like and subscribe. And as always, have a great day.